Inside the box, we have a couple of paperwork, a free jelly case, a SIM ejector pin, the Realme 10 smartphone itself, the 33-watt Super VOOC charger, and a USB Type-A to Type-C charging cable. This is the latest number series offering from Realme and the first from its Realme 10 lineup. This one is powered by a MediaTek Helio G99 processor with a Mali G57 MC2 graphics, 8GB of RAM, and for our variant right here, we have 256GB of internal storage. It also features a 6.4-inch Super AMOLED display with up to 90Hz refresh rate, 5000 mAh of battery with 33-watt Super VOOC charging, 15-megapixel color AI camera with a 16-megapixel selfie camera, and features a louder than usual speaker with up to 200% volume. In my honest opinion, this is an overall okay smartphone, but with some notable caveats. Let's start with the display. Again, the Realme 10 features a 6.4-inch Super AMOLED screen with up to 90Hz refresh rate. The brightness levels I would say is okay, enough for most cases, even outdoors, and you can go all the way down as well if necessary. And with the Super AMOLED panel, the colors are quite vibrant, the blacks are really deep with good contrast levels and with relatively decent viewing angles as well. The 90Hz refresh rate on the smartphone is in my opinion good enough if you consider the capability of the hardware inside, especially for gaming as you'll see later. So this is a good middle ground in relation to the possible cost if they make this even faster. Honestly, I don't have any major complaints about the display, and I think it is one of the strong points of the smartphone. As for the speaker, it is kind of a mixed bag for me. For starters, we only have a single downward firing speaker that, although can go up to 200% volume thanks to the ultra boom feature, is still lacking compared to a dual stereo speaker. However, it can get really loud. Now, the fingerprint on the power button is highly appreciated, but is also okay in terms of performance. It is more reliable compared to an in-display fingerprint reader, but honestly, isn't much faster than I would hope for. Now, in terms of the user interface, the Realme 10 features the Realme UI version 3.0 based on Android 12, and for the most part is quite clean, lightweight, and smooth. Now, one notable feature inside the settings is the ability to increase the RAM by taking advantage of some of the available internal storage. It might not be as fast, but at least we have this as an option. Now, moving over to performance, the Realme 10 powered by a MediaTek Helio G99 with a Mali G57 MC2 graphics is good enough for most day-to-day tasks, browsing through the user interface, social media apps, media consumption, photography, productivity, and similar light tasks. It scored 396,429 in Antutu, which is significantly higher compared to its predecessor. If you're planning on getting this with mobile gaming in mind, you must set a proper expectation because as per my experience, on most of the games I've tried, especially those who are high graphics intensive games, I had to adjust the settings to low just to be able to get a smoother frame rate, and in most cases, I only get around 30 to 45 FPS. This is why I mentioned earlier that the 90Hz refresh rate is good enough and probably more than what the smartphone is capable of for gaming. For less graphics intensive games, the Realme 10 is good enough. Now, what the smartphone is going for is in terms of battery life. With the 5000 mAh of battery, this can easily last the entire day, and as per my testing using the PC Mark Work 3.0 battery life benchmark, it lasted around 9 hours and 42 minutes. And with a 33-watt Super VOOC charging, I was able to charge this from 10% to 100% in just 1 hour and 21 minutes. Alright, now let's talk about the camera. The 50-megapixel color AI camera on the Realme 10 is okay. I feel like the camera system on this is a downgrade use case-wise in comparison to its predecessor, which has at least 3 to 4 cameras. Other than that, the photos the smartphone can deliver is really good, with vibrant colors, decent contrast, sharpness and details, although the sharpening is a little bit too much for my liking as well. Skin tones are good, exposure is pretty decent, although not a lot of dynamic range, but still pretty decent. And lastly, in terms of design and extraction, the Realme 10 features a more blocky shape and form factor compared to the curvy design of its predecessors. It might be good or bad depending on your preference. For me, it doesn't matter too much since I'm used to this kind of feel from other smartphones that I've been using for a while now. Overall, to conclude, the Realme 10 has its own pros and cons, and there's no sugarcoating that some of it are a deal breaker for some, especially the camera system. While the 50-megapixel AI camera is good enough, the lack of ultra-wide camera is such a bummer. The overall performance is also pretty decent, especially when it comes to day-to-day tasks and productivity, but it's a bit lacking when it comes to gaming, specifically on high graphics intensive games. The design and construction is entirely subjective. Some may prefer the usual curvy design we've known for from the Realme number series, but some could also fancy this new blocky design. The display, in my honest opinion, is quite outstanding and one of its strong points, partnered with a louder than usual speaker, albeit just a single downward firing one. The battery life is also one of its pros, with essentially an all-day endurance. All in all, it's still up to you if you consider this as a better option compared to others or even compared to its predecessor. Let me know in the comments below what you think. And there you have it guys, thank you for watching.